you're in tune with the chapters we are dealing with. Going to school or being in school is a far-fetched idea during this pandemic. The outbreak of corona is only another challenge we need to face. Instead, suicide leading cause for over 300 non-corona lockdown deaths in India, says Economic Times. On the other hand, the legendary actor Sushant Singh bid farewell to the world. His untimely demise was shocking. The alarming increase in the rate of suicide is what we find today, rather than facing it as a challenge. We are human beings. We will go through sadness, anxiety, and so much more in terms of difficulty and hardships. The days will not be the same. We have to face many challenges, severe situations, conflicts, and crises that will disrupt our normal life cycle. In such situations, we need to stop, release our burden, and then proceed. A strong believer may seek refuge in God, but most often, common people like us don't seek and find a person to whom we can share our feelings and burdens. Sudhamurti reminds of a stone bench, a little Horegalu, and grandfather, a figurative Horegalu. Both of them help us relieve our burden. In the last session, we saw grandfather, the retired schoolmaster who had enough time, and the village also had enough space where they built the Horegalu. But in the modern times, the hustle and bustle, the rush of life, people don't have time for anything. Amidst this, Sudhamurti finds someone who reminds her of her grandfather. Who is this person? How does a person find time? And what does the person do? To find an answer for all these questions, why don't we look into the chapter Horegalu by Sudhamurti? Later on in life, I got to see something that reminded me of that stone bench once again. I was working in Bombay, now Mumbai. One of my colleagues, Ratna, was a senior clerk, middle-aged and always smiling. She had done her graduation and been working in the company for nearly 25 years. She went about her repetitive, mundane work with an infectious cheerfulness. Every day, during the lunch hour, she would sit with some person in one of the rooms and they would have long chats. I would often wonder what they talked about. One day, I finally asked her, Ratna, what do you talk with each person for the whole lunch hour? Ratna smiled and said simply, they share their troubles with me. After listening to this paragraph, you might have come across a character who reminded Sudhamurti of her grandfather. And it is none other than Ratna, her colleague, the senior clerk. She had done her graduation and has been working there for nearly 25 years. And this period of 25 years in the same office reminds us or makes us aware that she must be a middle-aged woman. And she is a middle-aged woman. What was Ratna's attitude towards work and people around? Before seeking answer for this, it's necessary to know the meaning of certain words. Mundane means dull. Infectious means transmitted from one person to another. Usually, we use it for disease. COVID is an infectious disease, easily spread. So Ratna was always smiling. She approached the dull, repetitive, routine work with a cheerfulness that was spread around to all people, hence infectious. It was during lunchtime Ratna chatted with some or the other person for a long time in one of the rooms. Sudhamurti wondered what they talked about and finally inquired Ratna. Ratna said those who chatted shared their troubles with her. But how can you solve the troubles of so many people? Do you always have an answer for them? No, I only listen, and that is enough. That solves the problem. I was young and incredulous at such a simplistic outlook. But Ratna answered with the same patience and affection that she must have used with all my colleagues. I am not a trained counselor or an intellectual. No one can solve your problem. You have to do it yourself. Then how do you help them by listening to them?
God has given me 2 years to listen to others. I hear them out with sympathy and without any judgment. When a person in trouble or under a lot of strain finds an outlet for his worries, it relieves half his burden. I thought for some time and said, but don't you even break the confidence and tell others the secrets you hear, even by mistake? Not even in my dreams. I consider that to be the worst kind of betrayal. I don't think there is a greater sin than betraying someone's confidence. They tell me their worries because they know I will never talk about it or gossip about it to another person. Only when they know their words are secure with me can they talk to me freely. This way, I relieve the burden for a short while till they are ready to pick themselves up and carry on with their journey. Ratna solved the problems of so many people just by listening. Sudhamurti was young and incredulous. Incredulous means doubtful at this simple outlook of Ratna. Yet Ratna answered each of her queries with patience and affection that she must have used with all her colleagues while listening to their troubles. Ratna also admits that she is not a trained counselor or an intellectual. Intellectual means a person having high understanding. Her outlook is that God has given her 2 years to listen to others. She simply listens to the people with sympathy and without any judgment. Judgment means without interfering and giving opinion in between. It relieves the troubled person a lot. Ratna also considers sharing these secrets as the worst betrayal. Worst betrayal means to prove faithless or to be a cheat. They believe Ratna wouldn't share these worries even in a gossip. A feeling of security.
During my childhood days, I used to find the signboards of doctors and lawyers at every nook and corner of my village. And now I find the signboards of psychiatrists and psychologists mushrooming day by day. We used to share our feelings, our problems, and all our burdens with our grandparents and cousins. Our parents are so busy trying to keep up with the demands. And when things become more complicated, we were taken to psychiatrists and psychologists. Once we approach them, they ask us several questions, the problems we have and what solutions we have, and most of the time we have solutions for our own problems. Only we need a patient listener. At the end of the session, we pay them a small amount as fees. Yes, all we need is a patient listener who listens to us without any prejudice and keeps everything in confidential. Confidential means in secret. Listening is the key to all effective communication.
Her words uncannily echoed my grandfather's, sitting on the stone bench under the banyan tree, perhaps in their own small ways. Without access to great wealth, both these people were doing tremendous social service. No one thought of acknowledging their work or rewarding them for it, but they continued to do so, as this act of kindness gave them joy. If ever now I happen to pass a Horegallu in a village, I remembered them and wished there were many more of them in this world. Uncanny means strange and mysterious. Ratna's words sounded mysterious and echoed to that of grandfather's. Without access to great wealth, access means a way of approaching. Without approaching or making use of wealth, grandfather and Ratna were doing tremendous social service. No one thought of acknowledging means admitting or recognizing or rewarding for their work. Yet they continued to do so because these acts of kindness gave them joy. Whenever Sudhamurti passed through the Horegallu, she wished for more Horegallus in the world.
Sudhamurti's fictionalization of real experience makes us think about our life. Characterized by simplicity and keen observation, exposes the writer's philosophical outlook. The theme and message of this story is sharing and caring, the social togetherness, the need for patient listening. Horegallu here is a symbol of people who release the burden of others. Why don't we all be a Horigullu of someone at some time of our life? And I think with this, the chapter comes to an end. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stay safe.